Had a great almost 6 weeks now, and I hope we can continue to go like that. We're at a very rapid pace. We have to make up for a lot of lost time.
You can't honestly look at our country right now and not be impressed with where it's headed. And all the things that President Trump is talking about is the things that's better for the country. Our country right now is benefiting us, not benefiting the other countries. Continue.
And the country was very poorly run for 4 years. That you know better than anybody. Nobody covered it better than you, frankly.
Saying that our country was run poorly for the last 4 years is an understatement. It was worse. It was ran worse than that. Joe Biden tried to destroy this country, but Trump is back. Things are going to change.
It's an honor to be with so many great people. We have really great people working with us.
You said America is back, momentum is back, our pride and spirit are back, and we're just getting started.
Right.
What do you specifically want America to look like in 4 years when you're done?
Well, I want a dynamic country where the private enterprise carries the day, not the government. And I want a strong country militarily. We need that nowadays. You can see that probably better than ever before. So I rebuilt our military. A lot of it was given away to Afghanistan, but it was a lot, but a very small portion, in all fairness. But when you think about the billions and billions of dollars that was just handed over, but I rebuilt it. We're going to be rebuilding it again because we need that. We always need that. But we're doing a series of incentives, tax incentives and other things. The tax bill, I think, is going to be very important. The Democrats will fight us all the way. One thing I learned the other night, again, I could say, because it's my fifth such speech. And at the beginning, I said, I didn't know it was going to be as pertinent as it turned out to be, that no matter what I do, this group of people in front of us, I could come up with a cure to the worst disease that the world has ever seen. I gave other examples. I said, no matter what I do, they're going to sit there angry, insolent. You just see it. I mean, you see it, you can feel it. No matter what I say, no matter what I do, no matter who it is, they won't stand, they won't applaud, they won't clap.
And that's an absolute fact. Trump can rebuild this country from tip to toe, and they still will have a problem with what he's doing. Like he said, he can find the cure to the deadliest disease, and they still won't stand. They still won't get behind him. Trump derangement syndrome is a real thing. No matter what he does, he can completely fix things, and he still won't get the respect he deserves. And what's funny about that is, you know, the tax cuts that he's doing is crazy because that's what the Democrats try to build their platforms on. Tax cuts for the poor and the middle class and things of that nature. But then when a person actually does it, they disagree with him. Makes no sense to me. But continue.
They'll just sit there with sour faces. And that's what they did. And, you know, it was interesting. I said, I wonder if I should put this in, but it worked out to be true. And I think by putting it in, I showed that it was true. And it's sad because we're doing great things in this country. This country's really got a chance to be pretty quickly great again. I think the country has got a big light over it right now. And I've been told this by even other foreign leaders. We had Modi, we had everybody. We had from France to India to about 12 that want to come in. They all want to be here. Every one of them wants to be here. We had the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom who was here, and he couldn't believe. He said the difference in terms of the feeling about the United States is very different. It feels that we're back, we're respected again. We are respected again. And in a way, we're back, and it's only been a few weeks.
I love that. Make America great again. That's the premise that I love. I love that statement. Even if people don't like Trump, you should love that statement. Let's make America what it once was. Let's make America beautiful, wealthy, and full of jobs and full of prosperous people. That's what every American should want. If you don't want it, what is wrong with you? Continue.
You spoke to the president of Mexico today. I want to talk about tariffs because even as you're seeing this optimism and excitement, there's some nervousness over your tariffs. Markets have been selling off. People are not sure how to view it. Why did you roll back or put a pause into some of the tariffs until April 2nd?
Because I wanted to help Mexico and Canada to a certain extent. We're a big, big country. and they do a lot of their business with us, whereas in our case, it's much less significant. We do very little with Canada by comparison. And I wanted to help the American car makers until April 2nd. April 2nd, it becomes all reciprocal. What they charge us, we charge them. It's a big deal, but what they charge us, we charge them.
How could anybody disagree with that? If they charge us a certain amount, why aren't we charging them the same amount? It's only fair. Why do we have to pay a lion's share for things that they don't have to pay for? That's how you reciprocate, and the word was used was reciprocate. And if you're doing a certain amount and wanting us to pay a certain amount, you should pay the same thing. Let's be fair. This is a business-minded decision, and I love it because he's a businessman. And his business right now is making sure that America has money. And there shouldn't be no one that has a problem with that. If you have a problem with that, you're not being fair. Why should other countries eat while we starve? It should be even. Continue.
But this is short term, and I felt that for the good of the American car makers and the MCA, you know, the USMCA, that's Mexico, Canada, I thought it would be a fair thing to do. And so I gave them a little bit of a break for this short period of time.
But I asked you about this before, and I know you told me when I asked you, I said, you did use MCA, you put this together.
Yeah.
And yet then you come back and you change it up with these tariffs, and you said to me at that time, I did it because I can. I put an amendment in there, and I said in 6 years I can change it. But I think CEOs want to see predictability. They say, look, I have to speak with shareholders. I've got to make plans for CapEx spending. I can't if it's 20% one day and then it's off for a month and it's 25%.
Yeah.
So can you give us a sense of whether or not we are going to get clarity for the business community?
Well, I think so. But, you know, the tariffs could go up as time goes by, and they may go up. And, you know, I don't know if it's predictability. I think
so that's not clarity.
No, I think that they say that. You know, it sounds good to say. But for years, the globalists, the big globalists, have been ripping off the United States. They've been taking money away from the United States. And all we're doing is getting some of it back. And we're going to treat our country fairly. This country has been ripped off from every nation in the world, every company outside in the world. We've been ripped off at levels never seen before. And all we're going to do is get it back. We're going to get a lot of it back. We're not going to let people take advantage of us anymore. You know, we're the United States. I believe that if Kamala had won, meaning that whole ideology, Kamala and Biden and Obama, that whole group of people, if they had won, I don't think we would have had a country any longer. I think
that's just beautiful. If you're actually looking at what Trump is doing, he's stopping us from getting ripped off over and over and over again. People ripping us off in our own country. You know, the Democrats are getting paid for the weirdest things and getting money going to all these different places where they get a sum for their efforts. But we're benefiting other places, but we're not benefiting our country. And what Trump is doing is, let's benefit our country. I really am a firm believer in, I'm not going to go mow my neighbor's lawn and forget about mine. Let's fix our country and then worry about other people if we have the extra resources to. I believe that other countries should get help from us every now and then. But until we fix our country and get the money back that we once had, we shouldn't be ready to fix everybody else's problems. Let's fix our own. America has a lot of problems, and we need to deal with those first. Continue.
this was the most, somebody said it the other day, the most consequential election in 129 years. If they would have won, I don't think we would have had a country. Not only did we won every swing state. Remember, I was watching your show just before the election you were talking about. I think he's going to win 4 or 5. We won all 7. And we won the popular vote by millions of votes. We won the number of counties by 2,500 to 500, 2,750 to 500. And it's amazing. The map is all red.
Which is why I was surprised at the Democrats' behavior the other night, because you delivered among the most diverse, expanded audience, Republicans, Democrats, independents.
Yeah.
So is it just the Democrat leadership that does not see that?
If you were watching the other night, the Democrats looked disgusting. They wouldn't stand for things that normal people would stand for. The boy with cancer, the Laken Riley, the people that were assaulted and killed and things of that nature. They wouldn't stand. But what's odd to me is that the country actually seen how they acted, how they treated the president when he was speaking to a diverse group. If a Democrat would have gave that speech, everybody would have been standing, even the Republicans. But everybody was standing except the Democrats, because no matter what he says, they're going to be against it. And it's disgusting. Continue.
There's something wrong with them. It's just something, I can't even believe it. They lost an election in a landslide. They were talking about men playing in women's sports. When I looked the other night, I made a speech. The Republicans were going wild, and the Democrats were having their little signs up, their little signs, their little tiny signs. And I said, it's unbelievable. They don't get it. They don't get it now. And I think they're going to end up being a minor party if they keep going like this, because people don't want to hear about these stupid ideas that they have. Transgender for everybody. And again, the men and women's sports, what is that, a 90-10 deal? I don't even know who the 10 would be.
And that's the thing. Everybody on the Democratic side is so for the transgender and the girls and women's sports, but the American people are not for it. 90% to 10 wanna keep it women with women and men with men. But the other side, they seem to want it. They seem to want this men and women's sports. But the American people doesn't. And President Trump is for the people, what the people want. That's what all politicians should be. What the people want is what we do, not what these radical ideologies want. Continue.
But they're fighting for it. And I try and say to myself, because you always like to understand where your opponent is, whether it's in business or anything else, is there something I don't understand? But we don't understand it. You look at their theories on tax. You know, all my life I've watched politics. I've always liked it. I've watched it. I've participated, but from the standpoint of a donor. But I participated. And all my life I've watched politicians, we will cut your taxes, we will cut your taxes. These people say we're going to raise your taxes. This is the only time. It's never said, I've never heard it. They say it even if they don't mean it, we will cut your taxes. These people say that we're going to give you the biggest tax increase you've ever had. And that's what they're running on. And I tell Republicans, take that night, because that was a great night. You got record ratings, you saw that. The highest rated speech like ever of its kind. Take that night and run your midterms on it and show us I'm talking about some young child with cancer or some young, beautiful girl like Laken Riley who was killed, and they don't get up and they don't salute the mother who's there devastated. Nungery, they don't get up and they
For the life of me, I still don't understand why they didn't stand. But continue.
don't salute the mother whose child was devastated. I mean, brutally killed. The young boy with cancer that wants to be a cop, and they don't get up and salute that child. They not only don't get up, they're angry. And the only thing that happened that was interesting really about it was that when I mentioned Ukraine and people being killed, they started clapping. And that clap was led by Pocahontas.
Pocahontas. He kills me every time he says that, but she's lying about her Indian heritage. But that's the thing. And that's what's so heartbreaking, because those stories were beautiful and yet they still didn't get up and salute. Why? What was keeping you in your seats? But when you mention Ukraine, people stand up then. Oh my God. If anybody was paying attention, it was fucking disgusting. Continue.
I saw what you said, and,
Yeah.
and I want to ask you about Ukraine and the blow up the other day with Zelensky. Let me stay on the economy for a moment, because there are rising worries about a slowdown. You've got the Atlanta Federal Reserve saying we're going to have a contraction in the first quarter. Look, I know that you inherited a mess, and you said that the other night.
I've only been here,
but
for
are you expecting a recession this year?
I hate to predict things like that. There is a period of transition. because what we're doing is very big. We're bringing wealth back to America. That's a big thing. And there are always periods of, it takes a little time. It takes a little time. But I think it should be great for us. I mean, I think it should be great. It's going to be great ultimately for the farmer. You know, don't forget, I made the deal with China on the farmers where they had to buy $50 billion worth of product. $50 billion from 15 to 50.
Did they
and it was
follow
great.
up and do it?
They did it when I was president. What happened is when Biden was president, they didn't buy any longer. Yeah, because there was nobody to call them. I used to call President Xi. I said, you got to do me a favor. You got to, live up to that agreement. And he was great. He did.
Before you came into the Oval Office the first time, you were a very successful businessman, very successful real estate executive. And a lot of people said, oh, this is the business president. This is it. He's watching the stock market. He knows all about, he doesn't want the market to go down. And now we've got tariffs and the market has been going down.
Well, not much. I mean, in all fairness,
you said, look, we're going to have a disruption, but we're okay with that. Is that what you meant? The stock market going down was the disruption? What other disruption were you alluding to?
Look, what I have to do is build a strong country. You can't really watch the stock market. If you look at China, they have a 100-year perspective. We have a quarter. We go by quarters.
That's true.
And you can't go by that. You have to do what's right. What we're doing is we're building a tremendous foundation for the future. Tremendous foundation. Everything's been taken away. We don't make ships anymore. We don't, you just saw one of the biggest shipbuilders in the world, one of the biggest shipping people in the whole world.
In the Oval Office with you.
In the Oval Office. He's announcing a $20 billion investment in the United States, which he would have never done except for this. But look at this. Honda, Toyota, they're all coming in. You take a look at what's happening. The chip maker, the greatest chipper, Mr. Wei, the biggest in the world by far, is going to spend $200 billion on making a massive plant to make chips.
So that's your message? Build it here?
Build it here, there's no tariff.
Yeah.
Build it here, there's no tariff. That's going to make people want to come here and build our economy, build our wealth, build the American people's money up. Let's get back to prosperity in America. We have enough money when we build here at home. And that's what we should be wanting. And this is what we should be fighting for. And if you're a Democrat, you should be wanting to get behind this president because it's going to be beneficial to your pocketbooks. Continue.
The public companies want to make sure that we have clarity. After April 2nd, when those reciprocal tariffs go in, is that it? Are you going to change anything after that? Will we have clarity?
You'll have a lot, but we may go up with some tariffs. It depends. We may go up. I don't think we'll go down, but we may go up. But they have plenty of clarity. They just use that. That's like almost a soundbite. They always say that. We want clarity. Look, our country's been ripped off for many decades. For many, many decades. And we're not going to be ripped off anymore.
On the tariffs, what are the automakers going to do for a month? I mean, you say you wanted to help American automakers.
Yeah, I did.
You spoke with the three.
It's a transition period.
Okay.
And it's a transition into April. And after that, I'm not doing this. I mean, I told them, I said, look, I'm going to do it this one time, but after that, I'm not doing it. They called me and they wanted help during this little transition period, and I gave it to them.
Subscribe, like, and share for more. Blessings to the righteous.